Good evening. It is so lovely to see these beautiful, eyes, right? I can see your eyes. Good evening and welcome to our presentation for the Atlee Circuitree robotics team. I'm Meredith Dash. You might know my mom. Her name is Naomi Willie. She's sitting right there. You might know my grandfather, Hal Ornoff. He is sitting right there. And you will get to know tonight my son, Simon Dash, right there. So we have 4 generations here tonight, but most importantly, I'm here just to introduce you to this lovely set of teenagers that we have here today, these young people that have really been expanding their minds through STEM education and really trying to figure out how to solve really cool problems by using robotics and technology. I represent the team through the Atlee Robotics Boosters team. So I am on the parent side, the person behind the team that is trying to feed these people, keep them going so that they can do what they do best. And so I do a lot of fundraising for them, and I am sort of the behind the scenes logistics of the team. That's what the parents do. We work closely with the coaches as well. But really, we are here to let the students shine tonight. They are a fantastic team. They will be introducing themselves and really showing you what Atlee Circuitry is all about. And then behold, at the end, you will see some cool demonstrations. So enjoy the program tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to our Atlee Circuitry team.
All right, so my name's Caleb Balls, and I'm the current acting president of this club, and I would like to introduce you to what we do in this club and what's it all about. All right, so there we go. All right, so our club is based off Atlee High School. It's an all-inclusive club for members 9 through 12th grade. We do have younger members, but in general, it's a high school club where we build robots. Which is definitely the most exciting part of it. So our build season is usually September through February, which is where we all do all the nitty-gritty, all the designing and all the actual building and welding of a robot, and then we actually compete with them. Well, we start competing at around December for the small bot right there, but we also have a larger one, which is the size of a person, and we compete with that later in the season. And right now we have 25 active members, and we have 4 mentors. We generally get a good amount of kids each year that are very excited to learn and play with robots, because after all, that's probably the most fun things you can do. All right, so first, to introduce you to what it is, this is what we build a robot under. It is a worldwide organization where the founder, Dean Kamen, he thought to himself, what if we had sports, but we involved innovation and technology in them? So we basically, each year, there's a different event that has different rules and different game pieces, and we use those, we build the robot around that, and we had to design it around specific challenges and functions. So it's mainly just about promoting science, technology, engineering, and math into young students, so they can basically solve the bigger world issues when they come out of high school. And we have 2 robots, as I mentioned previously, FTC, which is the smaller bot we started at the beginning of the year. It's the small one right there. And besides that, we also have FRC, which is the size of a person, and it weighs as much. It's about this big, and it's quite the beast, but it's also very fun to make.
So this is a quick clip. It's an example of a competition. So I'll just go ahead and play this. You'll be able to see. So it'll start out. This is one of our matches. We were at the district level championships. We'll start out with a 30-second autonomous period where no driver control. So you can't have one of these controllers or anything. And then the bell will ring, and then it'll go. It'll start. You'll be able to drive. So you'll see a lot of the robots, the goal was to shoot the balls, these dodge balls, into the big hoop. So I'll just go ahead and play it for you.
Looks like we're ready to get started with this match. Drivers behind your lines. In 3, 2, 1, go!
Both alliances have all 3 robots taxiing off the tarmac. The Blue Alliance gets some 3, almost 4 cargo into their high hub. 32-74 pushing up against 39-39. This is a very defensive game. 32-74, often a defensive team. We have 422, the Mech Tech Dragons for the Red Alliance, swinging around the field, picking.
So anyway, that was a quick taste of what one of our competitions looked like. Again, that was the big robots, FRC up here. That's FTC, the little bot. So I don't want to play
Looks
that
like
again.
we're ready.
All right, so now you may be asking, what goes into building a robot? So there are 4 main categories that go into building this robot. First category is designing. So you actually got to like sketch some stuff, put all the prototypes together before you start building. Next one's building. So you actually have to assemble the robot. Then comes coding. So you got to tell the robot what to do when you like press a button. And then finally, throughout the whole process, we do outreach and fundraising, because you got to have money to buy all the parts for the robot. So I'll let Caleb take it away for designing.
So with a robot that has so many complicated pieces like ours, we have to spend a lot of time mostly designing, which is actually probably, I would say, the biggest issue with making the robot, because there's a lot of things that can conflict, and there's just a lot of ideas that get thrown around, but you got to find a way to like mesh all together into something that is hopefully functional and completes the game objective. So we do this in several different ways. We have prototypes, which is just usually making smaller pieces, seeing if it works. Like sometimes we'll make an early version of the arm just to test if it works the way we want to, it fits in where it should. We have CAD designs, which is when you design a robot on a computer, like so you model each of the individual parts and you put them together, so you can get a better visual of what everything does. And very vigorous testing, because after all, these robots have to kind of sustain themselves during the field, and there will be robots who play defense, and so you got to make sure it's all sturdy and robust.
The next part of the process, and probably the most long part, is building the actual robot. For the smaller bot, it is a easy to put together kit, but takes a lot of maintenance and a lot of work to get it together and the way you want it to go. But for the bigger robot, the build process is a lot more complicated. We need to use tools in the shop, including various types of welding, the CNC machine, and a portaband, and a bunch of other huge tools. But our build team promotes cooperative and hands-on learning with a lot of rookies each year. I myself, this is my first year in this club, and I got a hands-on position helping build that robot and later the bigger robot. Our robots have a high reliance on electronics as well as sensors. Our robot right there can sense anywhere it is during the game throughout multiple strategically placed sensors around the robot, which you might be able to see glowing orange. And finally, electric motors, which power our robot and the arm, which you will see later, essentially make the robot run. Simon?
So next, we just here's some close-up pictures of some of the components we use. So as you see, this is kind of like, you see the robot right there. Well, this is what it looks like on the inside. So you got kind of like the brains and all the wires. It's a complete mess in there. But, you know, we know what's going on. We know what's going on. We know that that wire connects to power, you know. And you got a distance sensor right here. We use 4 of these on all sides of the robot. They go it tells you how far you are away from something. So we're able to use, by bouncing light off the walls, we're able to tell where exactly we are on the robotics field at any point in time. And then finally, that is an example of a controller. That's for the big bot. It's got like a nice little joystick, some of the buttons. That one we specifically use to control pneumatic systems, basically giant pistons that expand and contract. Leading into that, coding. I myself am one of the lead coders for the team. So we write code every year for the robot in Java. And it's very fun. So you can see right there, this is one of our new coders, Owen. He is holding a capstone, which is what that thing is built to pick up. And we had a camera configured so that, as you can see, the capstone is outlined and labeled. So the camera is basically running an algorithm to look at that target and see that it's actually a capstone. You can see where it is. It's amazing. We've also, the robot, you can see the wheels look kind of funny. They're yellow. They're all bumpy. Well, those are called mecanum wheels, and what they allow you to do is drive in any direction at any orientation that you want. So it's almost like a crab. Like a crab can go forward, a crab can turn around, and a crab can also go to the side, which is unlike a normal car, which you can only go forward, backwards, and turn. And then finally, we're the ones that write all the sensors and stuff, like encoders, which tell you how far you've gone, gyros tell you what angles you're at, and other stuff. And I'm going to turn it over to Abby for the outreach.
I'm really short, so I'm going to have to lower that. So I'm Abby. I am also a rookie this year, and I'm on the marketing team, so we have a lot of outreach, like 8th grade fun day. We brought our robot and let 8th graders try it out. We have fundraisers at Texas Roadhouse. We had a fundraiser at Ashland Berry Farm. We had a bake sale. We have the Boosters Club. And DoD STEM is our largest sponsor. And also we have the Covenant Woods Homes Fund. So we would like to thank all of you for that very generous donation. So, and then also that donation that you guys have made we would not have been able to build a robot without it. And this is what turned out of that.
Moving in a donut.
That's awesome.
That is actually insane.
And no treads gone.
Yeah. And the treads are being burned.
So, as you heard from that very familiar voice, this is when we were first testing our mechanisms for the year, and we were very happy with how they turned out. So we decided to just, go on a little joyride and have some fun going around the field. So right there, that is the launching mechanism for our big robot. So as you can see, it goes in the little, I don't know, you would call it the intake is what we call it. And then it goes into a little cockpit in the middle, and it gets lifted up, and it gets sent flying. And that was our first edition of it. After that, we added the function to let it actually turn. So it can turn about 90 degrees, and it's very fun. You got it. So one of the most challenging parts of our big bot designed out last year was they basically at the end game they had it so you had to climb monkey bars that got higher each time, and you couldn't go from it. You had to start from one and go to the other, and you could not touch the ground. So we had to design a system that could traverse those, and a lot of testing and a lot of time put into it, but came out with a pretty solid and a pretty fun result, as you saw.
Yes, I just want to add on to that. Yeah, we had like a little arm. We had like a little arm that flipped around and caught the next bar, and it was super cool. It also left our robot like swinging very precariously, which is unlike all the other robots. So this wraps up our presentation part. So thank you very much. Thank you to the Holmes Fund for your generous donation. This would not have been possible without you guys. So I think now we can take some questions from the audience, and then after we're done with that, we can give a demonstration of the robot, and maybe if one of you guys wants to actually drive this thing, you might have the chance. So, are there any questions? Yes.
Regards to your battery.
Can you re-ask one more time?
I don't know if you have the solid state or not.
So the question was, are we using the latest technology in terms of our batteries? Well, I actually have a battery down. Here's our battery for the little bot. It is a lithium-ion battery. So it's one of those. It holds about like 6 volts, or 12 volts actually, I'm pretty sure. Lasts for about half an hour before we have to recharge it. I'm not sure if it's like the latest technology, but it's what's legal in terms of the competition rules, and it's worked for us. So, all right, are there any other questions? Yes.
Could you talk about some of the practical applications of all the fun you seem to be having with your robots?
Yeah, so we are learning in this club a lot of engineering skills because, you know, if you ask, like, me as a 9th grader coming into the club, hey, what's a servo? I would have stared at you blank. I would have been like, what is a servo? So now I know. I can tell you a servo is a little motor that rotates to a specific angle. I don't know if any of the other people want to tell their experiences about learning with the club. I'll turn the floor over to them.
There are a ton of practical applications I've learned while working on this robot. One of the biggest is leadership in group settings. I was one of the people who helped lead the construction of that bot, and it's helped a ton in other areas, including school and other extracurriculars, including sports.
Well, if someone asks me what a servo is, I still currently look at them and stare blankly at them because I have no earthly idea. But since I'm marketing, I don't work directly with the robot, but I have picked up a few terms like autonomous, which is where the robot is working without any drivers. Like I picked that up, so I know a few terms, but I still currently look at you blankly if you ask what autonomous is because I have no earthly idea.
So alongside learning the components of the robot, another thing that we emphasize is kind of just learning how to make something robust and more kind of durable, because currently, right now, most of our members actually know how to weld, which is very impressive, and we use it for both FRC and FTC if worst comes to worst, but but in general, we learn a lot of saws. We learn how to use a bandsaw, a portal band. We use a lot of traditional stuff too, like we use a bunch of we use so many zip ties. We use a lot of nails. So in general, not only are they learning about the components about the robot, but they're also learning some practical physical skills that they can use for later in life.
Can I add something, Simon, really quick? I'm just going to bounce up here really quick. One of the things that FIRST does put ahead of everything else is something called gracious professionalism. And that is something that every student that competes in all these competitions must adhere to at all times. Meaning, if your team is losing, there's no such thing as a sour loser. Everybody's high-fiving each other. Everybody plays like a team sport. That's how this competition is run. And so I think that all of our students are very much now experienced in gracious professionalism, which can carry through in life for the rest of their lives. So I really wanted to emphasize that. It's something that FIRST definitely make sure that everyone understands.
Alrighty, do we have any other questions? Oh boy, a lot of them. I can't wait to answer these. All right, hit me with your best.
Yeah, no, I would like to ask each of you to talk a little bit about what your career path is going to look like at this time in your life. Not that it might not change sometime, but for now, what are you thinking in terms of after high school?
So, funny thing, last weekend I toured JMU and UVA. So I'm currently looking at colleges, looking into engineering programs, so mechanical engineering, computer engineering, stuff like that. And of course, I'm in love with this. I want to do robotics when I grow up, maybe like work for NASA or something like that. So that's what I want to do. I'll turn it over.
You know, I'll just go into this. Well, since I'm a freshman, I don't know exactly, but I do know because of robotics, I do know that I love engineering and I want to do more of that. And as I get further through high school, I will go more in depth into that, find out what kind of engineering I want to do, and just go further in depth into that.
So for me personally, right now, I'm actually big into business and more specifically entrepreneurship, which is basically owning your own business. So right now, I'm currently planning to go on business, go into Reynolds next year, and I'm going to go transfer to a 4-year from there, and I hope to someday own a small business. So, yep.
My goal out of this is to go to college and major in chemistry and maybe major in biology.
Alrighty. Any other questions?
I believe it was mentioned earlier that the robots are very expensive. Can you give us an estimate of the cost of the small one as well as the big one?
Yes, I can. So, a lot of the cost is mitigated by the fact that we can reuse parts. So, like, we don't have to buy new motors every year. We don't have to buy new wheels every year once we buy them once. But I would say if you were to buy everything new, for the small robot, it would be around $700. And for the big robot, I'd say it'd be around, like, lower end, maybe $2,000, higher end, maybe $4,000. So they can get pretty expensive. But a lot of the cost, again, is mitigated by the fact that we've reused stuff. So I'm sure we have motors that have been going for like 6 years now. So anyway.
I also just want to quickly add that the cost of the robot isn't just the cost of the parts. The competition registration alone is oftentimes in the thousands of dollars. And so it is not just that we are raising money to build an actual robot out of parts. We have to raise money to travel to the competitions, to, again, I emphasize, feed these people. We have to raise that money to get into these registration costs for each competition. And some of that is paid by our sponsors. As you mentioned, the DoD STEM does help support, as well as you guys, Covenant Woods has made a generous donation. So all that is part of the fundraising and the cost of the robot.
All righty. Do we have any more questions? If not, we're going to go ahead and do demonstration. Yes. All righty. Well, let's go ahead and do the demo. So after okay, well, they're setting up the camera for all you folks in your apartments right now. And headset, yeah. And then once we're done with a little demonstration, we're gonna pick up one of these blocks. Then you guys can have a chance to drive it if you want. So I guess let's get going. Let's get this thing set up.
From there. Yes, it'll work. Test. Yeah, I'll just hold it. It's fine. It's on. No. Yep. Okay. I can hear myself. All right, so do you want to give us a quick demonstration of it driving around? So as you can see, it's very flexible with whatever direction you want to take it. So right now, we actually programmed it so it's oriented towards the person who's driving, so he doesn't have to constantly have to remember which way's forward.
Forward is always forward on my controller, even when it is facing in opposite direction. It's always up on my controller.
All right, so now let's pick up a ball. May take a little bit. We usually actually, for the FTC bot, it's usually controlled by 2 people, but we modified it today so it can be controlled by 1 person. So something fun about that is it doesn't only drop straight. We actually have a little pivot right here, and it can turn either direction, because in the game we had to precisely push it. Put the ball in certain areas to kind of gain control of like a scale. All right. All right, so does any of you actually want to catch the block? Any volunteers? All right, we got a volunteer? Well, that isn't exactly throwing more as it's just kind of like sweeping it away, but... All right, you ready? So this robot this year was actually named Evergreen, and we named it after the water vehicle that blocks the canal last year.
Well, that's because the theme for this year was Fright Frenzy, and it was a shipping, like it was a freight
Shipping
ship
transportation themed
that,
in.
yeah, that got stuck, and it's a type of tree, so it fit.
We even have it on this year's shirt, as you can see right there. I'm gonna go to.
So, question. All right, I'm back.
Activity. Consider it kind of like a sport. You don't get academic credit for it, right? No, I didn't think so.
No.
But unlike the other competition sports, I see the school or the school system as providing funding. You know, somebody's buying those football helmets, and I don't think that you have to raise your own money to get them. Has anybody, has that been addressed in any way?
So actually,
I'm not sure the students have the answer, but
well, I do. So actually, we are getting some funding from the school, from the Hanover Education Foundation, who's another one of our sponsors. But even though we use their money, I think generally to pay for registration and stuff, so not to build the actual robot. So yes, we are receiving funding from the school, but we are using it for registration and not building the actual robot. So.
And the school does provide us, if you think about the in-kind donation of the space and the time that we are there, we're there often late. And so we use the space that the school provides there. They don't kick us out or anything usually. And the coach can be there with the students. Sometimes some parents are there. So there are in-kind donations as well that come from the school, but yeah, even though it is considered a competition sport, kind of like joining any other club, we don't get fully funded by the school. We still have to raise our own money, which all the athletic teams also have boosters as well to support them. So it's just like pretty much any other thing. We did realize that this year they were offering also buses for us. So again, we can use the school bus where we don't have to raise our own funds to transport. So there are different options, but that is a good question, yeah.
Also, like, to add on to what she was saying, over winter break, we had the space. We were allowed to come into the school, and our coach, Mr. Larson, came in as well, and we spent 30 hours cleaning out the closet, which is a huge closet that the school provides for us to store all of our materials and other things.
But to add on that, just real quickly, what? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So one thing that I think this club differs from the others is the students are actually a lot more involved in the finances, which so a lot of more students. So they'll recommend the pouch, they'll recommend the things, and sometimes we'll even get them to like print out receipts and to look into them. So they're a lot more involved in knowing of the club's finances than most other clubs here. So I think that's pretty cool.
I attended engineering school during the Second World War, which is a few years ago, like 1942, 1943. And I took machine engineering. It was a difficult course. Gosh, you've already done it and you're only in high school, so what are you going to do when you get to college?
Well, I already sort of answered this question, but technology is changing, so there is, this is barely anything for, like, maybe college-level stuff. You got, like, new batteries, like you were saying, and stuff that we aren't utilizing, we can't utilize, because it's a competition, we got rules and stuff. No slapping a jet engine on this robot.
Sadly.
But once we get to college, we're hoping to, or at least when I get to college, I'm hoping to get to the latest cutting-edge technology and find out some new things that I've never learned before. I'm so excited.
We also want to do battle bots where you build robots and they fight each other, and then you can break robots. We also want to do that.
I would also like to add, if we were allowed to add a jet engine to our robot, many members would gladly take that opportunity.
Yes.
So, if we don't have any other questions, oh, we do.
How did your team do in the latest competition?
Oh, Caleb, do you want to answer that?
All right.
As the president.
Why'd you? Yeah. You don't need. Okay. So, the last competition, it went pretty well for the most part. Our robot succeeded. We had a few issues, which just kind of always happen. Like at one point, the frame we failed one of the climbs, and the frame I don't know how to put it. It's not really bent, more like shifted.
Imagine like a 300-pound like refrigerator. I don't know, falling like 5 foot off the highest rung of a monkey bar. That's what happened to our robot.
But we were able to do some last-minute fixes, and for the most part, we were able to get it back to normal. But safe to say, after that, we were very careful of climbing. So.
And I had front row seats to that because I was taking pictures of the whole thing. When that happened, it was very scary. It was very loud, and I screamed because I'm very jumpy. But just watching all the matches was so cool. Like sitting up front, it was like so cool getting that front row seat.
It's just like a sport. You hear the music blazing, you hear the announcers hyping everyone up. It's a lot of fun.
No, well,
I wish.
So yes, we got parent cheerleaders, we got other teams in the stands, we got other teams even bringing out all their spirit, because there is a spirit award. You get free points for being the most spirited team. But anyway, if you want the raw numbers, our FRC team, we made it all the way to the district competition after going into the elimination rounds in 2 qualifier events. We finished around the middle districts. I think it was around 30th place out of 60 teams. Our FTC team did great in the qualifier rounds, but once we made it to districts with the FTC bot, somehow our firmware on the controller thing got corrupted, and we spent the whole competition trying to fix it. We finally got the last match, and we performed wonderfully, but it wasn't enough, and we came in second to last.
Yeah, they had to get like 5 judges around our area just because they did not know how bad it was messed up, and they were actually contacting the people who made this in the first place, Rev, because everyone was just puzzled about it, but it is what it is.
So that's how we did in our competition this year. I'd say it was pretty great.
The only higher step that you can go from districts, which is what he was talking about, is worlds. And so if we would have qualified, the next step would have been worlds, which is the ultimate competition. And that was taking place in Texas. And we did not make a high enough score to be able to travel to worlds. But there's always next year.
All righty. Do we have any other questions? If not, do any of you guys want to drive the robot? No pressure. It's not scary. You won't break it. Trust me. Oh, Papa Hal or
there we go.
All righty.
Any other volunteers?
Okay, Simon.
Oh, we got one. All right, come on. It's to have fun. All right. All right. Do we have any more volunteers?
So the speed is modular. So there's a little joystick here. If you press it a little, it'll go slow. If you press it a lot, it'll go fast. And we do have the speed toned down a little bit so we don't drive off the stage.
During competitions, we also have a slow mode, which reduces the speed by 50%.
Yeah, so, because, it's kind of hard to pick up one of the tiny blocks when you're going, 10 miles an hour across a tiny little field. So it's nice to have that extra accuracy. All right, do we have any other takers? It's not hard.
Come on.
Any fun? It's pretty fun. You could say you drove a robot. That's pretty cool.
It's like driving a little metal dog. It's just as cute as a dog, too.
All right, another volunteer. Okay, so.
That's my Girl Scout troop leader. Yeah, that's my Girl Scout troop leader. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see what you got.
Look at it go.
Some amazing driving skills, if I do say so myself. All right, we probably have time for maybe like one more. Anybody?
Anyone want to be the grand finale?
No pressure. All right, well, no more volunteers. Well, thank you for having us. Thank you for your generous donation. It's been great presenting up here. I'm Simon with Atlee Circuitree. Goodbye, everyone.
All right, you all have a good night.
I just wanted to thank everybody real quick for coming out tonight and everyone watching from home. And thank you so much to Atlee Circuitree for sharing their magnificent talents and minds with us tonight. So one more round of applause.